Hey, welcome to our Sunday preview for this week. And we have a reading from chapter 20 of St. Matthew's Gospel. It says, Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out at dawn to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with them for the usual daily wage, he sent them to his vineyard. Going out about 9 o'clock, the landowner saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said, "You too go into my vineyard. I will give you what is just." So they went off. And he went out again around noon and around 3 o'clock and did likewise. Going out about 5 o'clock, the landowner found others standing around, and he said, "Why do you stand here idle all day? Because no one has hired us." He said, "You too go into my vineyard." When it was evening, the owner of the vineyard said to the foreman, "Summon the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and ending with the first." When those who had started about 5 o'clock came, each received his usual daily wage. And when the first came, they thought that they would receive more, but each of them got the usual wage. On receiving it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "These last ones worked only 1 hour, and you gave them an amount equal to us, who bore the day's burden and the heat." He said to one of them in reply, "My friend, I am not cheating you. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what is yours and go. Or am I not free to do as I wish with my money? Are you envious because I am generous? Thus the last will be first, and the first will be last." The Gospel of the Lord. Here's another parable, and I don't know whether you associate this one like I do always with the Prodigal Son, and especially that part about the older brother. The older brother was the dutiful one who always stayed in the father's house and did what the father wanted. And the prodigal went off and wasted the money and then came back looking for redemption. The older brother was angry and envious and angry at the father for forgiving his brother, whom he wouldn't even call brother anymore. And that's the way we can be, when God shows his mercy and people who come at the late hour. But it says something about us, just like it says something about that elder brother. If we're the laborers in the kingdom of heaven, right, and we're doing it as if we were under the hot sun and struggling and laboring, and that's the first mistake we make. To be invited into the kingdom of heaven, because Jesus starts with this off and says, the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out and invited them into his vineyard. In the vineyard is where they were going to find life and sustenance and earn a wage. In that vineyard, that kingdom of heaven, is where they were going to have a relationship with the owner. They were being chosen and they were being called, and they didn't appreciate it enough. The elder brother in the story of the prodigal son, he was in the father's house, but he was dead in his love for the father. He didn't realize. He didn't appreciate all he had. He envied the life of the younger brother who went out and lived a dissolute life full of sin. And we got to ask ourselves that question. Are we really in the Father's house? Are we really there in the vineyard, loving and enjoying our presence and our good fortune to be called? I think that's a good question for us all. I think there's another sense you could approach this little parable Jesus tells and look at it in light of the story of the good thief on the cross who repents at the last moment before he dies and says, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Those laborers who were called at the end of the day, I think that's us too. There's a sense in which that's all of us, because we spend a lot of time maybe estranged from God, far from God. And one day the grace of God came, and none of us deserved it. All of us should be saying, "Remember us, Lord, when you enter into your kingdom." The people that were called at the end of the day and only had to do an hour's work, they're even more grateful. Are we grateful for the grace that we've received?